Hello. Okay. I hope this is working. As usual, just gonna okay. I think it started. So yeah, hey everyone. Thanks for coming again on I guess my Saturday morning. Not sure what time it is for you guys, but hope it's not too late or it's not like too extreme a time. Yeah, so today we're just gonna continue with the seven character quatrains. And I think maybe Jaclyn's not feeling well again. So back to just me. So get ready for some not so insightful analysis. I'm just gonna give my very opinionated take. Yeah, but meanwhile, yeah, I guess then it would be nice to hear more of your thoughts in that case. So yeah, please feel free to type your comments in. Uh, and yeah, your views are always appreciated lah. So let's see what we have for the first one. Today is by Han Hong. So the poem is Han Shi, After the Day of No Fire. So 春城无处不飞花，寒食东风日柳斜。日暮汉宫传蜡烛，青烟散入武侯家。Just checking if I got the readings right. Right. Petals of spring fly all through the city, from the wind in the willow of the imperial river. And at dusk from the palace, candles are given out to light first the mansions of the five great lords. So first thing that strikes me is that, I mean, the title English is After the Day of No Fire, but the Chinese, it's saying like, it's like cold food. So they are like eating in the cold. And I'm not really sure what this Day of No Fire is, because it doesn't seem like a festival, right? Like, I don't think festivals usually ban fire. So so that's sort of my initial impression. And it says even, and it seems like it's kind of a big deal, like candles are given out to light first the mansions of the five great lords. So even for the important people, they're using candles. So it seems to me like it's almost a like a blackout sort of deal. So like, like nowadays when they don't have electricity, then they just sort of black out and they have like uh they just don't provide electricity, right? But I think I'm not gonna speculate too much. Let's look at the historical context for this first. So the Han Shijie. Okay, so it seems like it is a festival. Let's see. So okay, it is 1 or 2 days before Qingming. So Qingming is this Chinese festival where like you go and pay respects to your ancestors, right? So Qingmingjie. So okay, so this is 1 or 2 days before the Qingming festival. And this article points out that okay, even though you're not supposed to have fire, but the officials who have the emperor's favor can get the candlelight that is specially bestowed by the emperor. Okay, so good thing I checked this, because the vibe is totally opposite from what I thought. And it says that the first two lines are supposed to emphasize like the scenery of the night. So it's more of a festive take. And then the second, oh sorry, the first two lines is about the day, and then the second two lines are about the night. Okay, so then let's actually look at this. All right, so petals of spring fly all through the city. From the wind in the willows of the imperial river. Okay. So the very first line I think is interesting in the Chinese. So in English it says all through the city, and then Chinese is there is nowhere where where petals are not flying. So I don't know. It feels like the Chinese is more emphatic. But this sort of construction is quite common. So it's not this double negative construction is quite common. So it's not like uh super groundbreaking, but I think it does add something here. And then from the wind in the willows of the imperial river. Hmm. I guess I'm struggling to see how this is a festival and not like just a depiction of the season. Because if it's about just because when they're trying to show how festive it is, they're just talking about the flowers, the flower petals, and maybe the festival involves like I don't know, like throwing flower petals or something, but it's not immediately obvious that it's a festival. Yeah. Mm. Oh, okay. So 飞花, uh, so there's a variant of uh 飞花 here. So this is like flying petals, right? There's a variant where it just says 开花, which is like the flowers are opening or blooming. So it does seem unlikely that they're just throwing the petals around. So or maybe I'm looking at it the opposite way. It's not like you're playing with the flowers to celebrate the festival. Maybe it's like it is a festival because the flowers are all opening. So that's possible. That's possible. Yeah. And then right, the second part, so 寒食东风日柳斜. Wow, I don't think the English does it very well. So like this 寒食 festival, the east wind, it drives the willow. I guess it blows the willow uh diagonally, makes it a slant, I guess. Or the sorry, the is the imperial, right? So the east wind blows the blows the willows in the imperial palace, I suppose. I don't think it's a river, but hmm. So it is emphasis on the flowers, which they say is about the day scene, right? And then it moves on. So at dusk in the palace itself, then the candles are given out, and then it lights first the mentions of the five great lords. Okay, I guess the festivities only begin in the evening. So that's why it's sort of like the build up to the festival. That's my guess. And maybe that's why like maybe that's the point. It is to build up and like you sort of depict the excitement and anticipation of that. So let's see the uh famous critics take. I don't know. I never experienced this festival, so it's very hard for me to really uh really have a not say have a take, but yeah, very hard to relate. Yeah. mm. Okay. So it's this festival has been uh abolished, or it has not taken place after the end of the Song dynasty. So the Song is right after the Tang. So that's why people now don't understand the the subtlety, the wonder of this poem. So that's why this guy says this He Tang guy. So Hmm. So this guy thinks the first two lines is about the lighting of the fire. No, no, no. For the third line is about lighting the fire, and the bottom line is about bestowing the fire. Yeah, that's right. So, hmm. Okay, so again, they're taking a very political interpretation here. So it's saying that it's because during this time the Yang family was especially in favor. And I think is that we mentioned before, it's probably because of this concubine of the emperor, Yang Guifei, right? Or I guess a favorite concubine Yang. So isn't and because she was so much in favor that her family actually became quite renowned or became quite prominent. And I think here it's saying that uh, the five the five people who are receiving the candles, right, are all related to her, are all in that family. And that's why it uses the five great lords is actually from the Han dynasty. So it's not a thing in the Tang. It's more so it's used as a analogy here or like a metaphor here. So yeah, and this person thinks it's really about or is a comment about the political situation at that time. Probably he's disapproving of the sort of favoritism. So yeah, this is really smart. This guy Song Zhongren, he says even though the festival is about the restriction of fire, but the poem focuses on the bestowing of fire, right? So I think that's really smart because I guess it's not as obvious if you haven't been through it, but it's like one is sort of the opposite of what you would expect, but at the same time, it's like wow, so there's no fire except for these five like candles, right? So I think that is really a yeah, a very well done device there. Anywhere else? Uh, I think this one is saying that the two halves are not matching. The third and the fourth lines are the center of the poem. Yeah, the flower stuff is kind of weird, right? Yeah, that's fair. Okay, one more from this. So it says so the first line is about flying flowers. You can see the opulence of the city in the spring. Next, it talks about the festival and the east wind, and uh it's just about the great day in the capital. The third line is about the mm, I guess this is during the it's just the ancient tale of bestowing stuff. I think it's the Han dynasty here. It's saying the Han palace. And the last one is about uh the bestowing the thing to the dukes. But again, it's more allegorical, right? Or and yeah, allegorical, elusive than actually the dukes. And so it's just saying like essentially saying a lot goes on. Okay. I was expecting this to be more insightful than it actually was. Okay, I guess let's move on then. This was yeah. I think my key takeaway is I think it's very interesting that they describe the fire, like in order to describe the lack of fire in this festival, they describe the fire itself. And also, I don't think the title is right. I don't think it's after the Day of No Fire. So it should be the Day of No Fire itself. Yeah. And personally, I'm not very fond of these political interpretations, so I'm not gonna dwell too much on it. All right, next by Liu Fangping, 月夜, A Moonlight Knight. 更生月色伴人家，北斗蓝南斗斜，今夜偏知春气暖，重生新透绿窗纱。When the moon has colored half the house, with the North Star at its height and the South Star setting, I can feel the first motions of the warm air of spring in the singing of an insect at my green silk window. So the setting is a night with the moon. So very classic Chinese poem setting. So let's see what is his rendering of this scenario. Hmm. First thing, it seems like I'm not sure. I wonder what's the significance of the moon coloring half the house. So does that mean it feels like it's saying it's a very small house then? Like sort of like the moonlight coming through the window and that's enough for half the house. And then he sort of talks about the two different stars, right? The North Star and the South Star. So clearly, so maybe it seems like it's moving from, he's looking at the house being lit by moonlight. He's sort of looking in at the house, and now he's looking at the stars, right? In order for him to know this. And then now it moves from sight to touch. So he feels the first motions of the warm air of spring. Yeah. And then now he's listening. So in the singing of an insect at my green silk window. So then he moves to hearing, and then but this is together with the sight, right? So he hears the thing, but it's at a green window. So I think this is pretty interesting. It's quite a multi-sensory experience. Like if you compare it to Li Bai's poem, right? The very famous like 静夜思, where it's like, oh, 举头望明月,低头思故乡. Like, so I raise my head, I look at the moon, and I look down and think of my home, my hometown. I think that felt like it was a very visual and very cerebral sort of poem. So it was like, even when he says like he 疑是地上霜, right? He wonders if the moonlight is like the frost on the ground, but it doesn't feel like it was as much about the cold. Whereas for this, it is very clear, like, okay, there's, I am feeling the heat, right? Like I know the warmth of the spring air, and I hear this bug chirping. Do they chirp? The making noise, I guess. The bugs making noise at the green window. So that's sort of so I think this is a very different, even though it's a similar let's say catalyst, right, for the poem. It seems like the poet's reaction is very different. And he here is actually feeling a lot more well, he's not feeling more, but it's a different kind of reaction. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I have some comments. Let me just reply. So some say, yeah, excited for this one. And hey, 808 fam. I think some new faces here. So really nice to see you all. Yeah. So let me just reply. And I'm gonna move on. Or if you have any opinions on this, please do share. If not, yeah, please do share. And I'm just gonna start looking at some of the critics' commentaries, okay? Uh so let's see. Is there a specific impetus for this? Or maybe the season is different, because this is a spring poem. I guess the Li Bai one was a winter poem. So but this is, I guess this is as much about spring as it is about the view itself. Okay, so 无可用着. So it says 28 words, none of which can be used. I think he's trying to say none of which can be removed. I think. Next, but the toe, it says the toe character is very, very, very well used. Where is toe here? Okay. So this was not translated, but like the cry of the bug, the insect, newly permeates. Maybe permeates or penetrates the green silk window. Yeah. Okay. I think that is a very descriptive verb that wasn't really translated in the English. So yeah, that was good. And that's interesting, right? So it says using the other scenery or other things to really describe the moonlight. And this is pretty unique. And it yeah, they just say it's cool lah. Basically, it's cool. Okay, I don't find this super insightful, so skip. Uh yeah, I think I remember I had this discussion with Jaclyn last week, right? Where I was like, oh, I don't like this line because it's just too, it's a bit too cringy and a bit too like direct. I guess I appreciate like it when people find creative ways to express how they feel. So maybe it wasn't that it was too direct, but it seemed kind of lame. It wasn't very the 一片冰心在日湖. I thought that was kind of lame. I don't know. A bit too. I know it's meant to be an illusion, but it just didn't seem very creative to me. Let's see. Let's see. But yeah, okay. I'm just gonna move on to the next one. All right, and then let's see here. 春怨, spring heartbreak. Oh wow. So by Liu Fangping, so 春怨, 纱窗日落见黄昏，金屋无人见泪痕。寂寞空庭春日晚，梨花满地不开门。So with twilight passing her silken window, she weeps alone in her chamber of gold. For spring is departing from a desolate garden, and a drift of pear petals is closing a door. Huh. Is that right? So, okay. I don't think okay, I think the last line here is kind of a creative interpretation. Or I can see why they'd say the drift of pair petals, like here, is closing a door, but I think it's like closer to saying like there are all these pair petals on the ground, but and then she doesn't open the door to anyone. So so the scene here is, I guess, pretty clearly it's a scene of her crying, right? I mean, it says there she's crying, right? And so she's crying alone in this empty house, and she's like, yeah, sad. Okay, that's not insightful at all. Okay, she's sad. Okay, she's sad, and then it's like twilight. Okay, it's twilight, so the sun is setting. Yeah. Uh, and then she's in this really well decorated house, right? It's a chamber of gold. So I think this is one of those concubine poems again, like these like lonely concubines in the palace, yeah. And then next, right, we see, and then so no one can see the trail of her tears. So that's what it's really saying. I mean, it is a pretty common device to say like 泪痕, right? I mean, we've seen it before. But yeah, no one can see the trail of her tears. And empty in the lonely in the empty garden, the spring feels that it's too late. And so the spring is leaving. And these pear petals litter the floor, I guess. Or the floor is filled with pear petals. And she does not open the door. I think I do like the contrast of, you can see maybe the first, like if we want to draw a line around here, right? It's like the top half of the poem. So like the first few characters of each line, it has something that's very like luxurious. And then the second half of the line seems to sort of subvert it. So first we have like this muslin window. Yeah, so kind of luxurious, but then the sun is setting. So it's sort of the contrast in every line, and then this golden house, golden chamber, and then she's crying. And okay, then this one sort of subverts it, because it opens with saying like, oh, it's lonely and empty, this courtyard, and the spring is already leaving. So I think this one is really just like sad all the way through. And then this last line, it's like these pear petals. It's like, okay, at first I'm like, oh, pear petals, that's nice. And then, oh, actually they're all on the ground. They've all fallen. And oh, she's not gonna open the door. So, you could even say it's formulaic, but then the third line really subverts it. So I think the pattern is established, and this might be reading too much, but maybe it almost reflects her psychological process, right? Like if she's the empress, like she's entering the palace, she's like, oh, things are gonna be great. I'm gonna have like all these nice things. And then so that's the first half. And then the second half is like reality. It's like, oh wow, I'm like so lonely. So yeah, maybe that's one reason. Maybe that's one reason why they structured sort of the poem like this. And and yeah, I guess some reason this last three characters of like 不开门, like she doesn't open the door. It feels very powerful, but can't put my finger on why exactly. So let's see what it says here. Okay, so the article does think it is about, yeah, it is it's about one of the concubines who has lost the favor. Okay, and I think first two lines are about oh, is this because she lives in the chamber of gold? It means once she was favored, but now but this is no longer true lah. She's no longer favorite, right? And the third and fourth line is about of the departing spring is about the loneliness lah, really. That's interesting. That's interesting. So then we could even the progression I said just now of like the luxury and then followed by the sadness, that could also be reflecting this transition from being in favor to sort of falling out of it. Wow, it's pretty good calligraphy, huh? Okay. Now this is not helpful. The 4 lines only describe loneliness. Okay. Yeah, I kind of got that. What else? Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, so this is saying that she closes the door because she cannot bear to see the falling of the pear petals. Right, right. So she's sort of she's trying to shut the sadness out, but at the same time, she's shutting her loneliness in, right? So she's not getting the help that maybe she wants. But at the same time, it is not like she's the one being shut out. So maybe she's trying to take some control back by trying to shut other things out. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. Right. Yeah. Oh, that was very helpful for me to understand the door part. Right, yeah. The other Lei Heng thing we saw was already in Li Bai, right? Where he says like, oh, but you see the wet trail of your tears. I don't know, or who knows who you are resenting in your heart. So this Lei Heng, this trail of tears does appear. Oh, this one is interesting. This is like, oh, she's shutting the door because like she has no more spare capacity, spare emotions to pity the flowers as well. Okay. So again, it's this idea of like, yeah, just shutting the door. I never thought about how shutting the door is a good symbol, but it can be very poetic. Interesting. All right, and just saying like, yeah, good poem. Okay. Wow, that's really good though. I really didn't expect the door to be so powerful almost. Yeah. Okay, let's look at the next one. Hope we're making a good pace. Maybe I'm going too fast actually. But the last few poems, they are all pretty like, because usually you'll see like quite a bit of like famous critics, right? Whereas this one is just like 4 or 5. So and these are usually a lot less than the previous ones where like because these are the 7 character quatrains, right? I think people just like the 5 character ones more, which is so those are the ones we started by reading. Yeah, so let's see this. Liu Zhongyong, Zheng Ren Yuan, or A Trooper's Burden. So, all right, let's start. 岁岁金河赴日关，朝朝马策与刀还。三春白雪归青冢，万里黄河绕黑山. For years to guard the Jade Pass and the River of Gold, with our hands on our horse whips and our sword hilts, we have watched the green graves change to snow, and the yellow stream ring the black mountain forever. Okay, I read this in class before, but don't think I got it. I don't think I really understood it that time. So let's see. So there's a trooper's burden. It is in the title, so it's like a complaint, yeah, a complaint of the man on the expedition. So yeah, trooper I think is a pretty decent translation. So hmm. So okay, it's pretty good. Translation, yeah. So this is the 3 years. For 3 springs, we have seen the green graves. The white snow returned to the green graves, and the yellow river of 1,000 li encircles the black mountain. Hmm. I mean, you can tell the guy's not happy, right? So, all right, so the opening when it's just like it's 4 years, so it's literally repeating the sui, right? So years. So you can make something a plural by repeating it. So that's one way. Uh, and I think doing it here really does emphasize like that it's been a few times, or that it's oh, I'm going again and again and again, right? So he keeps going, to uh yeah, I guess to guard these places. And similarly, Zhao Zhao, right? So morning and morning. Uh, and then every morning they have to, uh, I guess this is their, I'm not sure, it's something like, it's a horse whip. It says a horse whip and the sword hilt. So it is the repetitive nature is sort of emphasized on this. And yeah, I think there is a contrast, right? So there's a very direct parallel between these two lines. Okay, I guess really in all the lines, but there's sui sui, year, zhao zhao is like day, and you have the gold river, which is like, I mean, it's gold, it seems sort of valuable. And then you're like, okay, gold river contrasts with the horse whip. And there's the jade pass, and you contrast with the ring on your sword. Yeah, so there is the association being made here, but I'm not sure if it's meant to be ironic or like sincere. So is it saying that, the stuff we have is like gold and jade, right? Or it is almost the same as the things we are protecting? Or is it ironic that it's like, oh, we talk about this river of gold and the jade pass, but all we have are these like stupid whips and sword hilts. So I can't really tell what is the feeling being between these two lines. All right, so next we have okay, green grays change to snow, and the yellow stream ring the black mountain forever. So there is another parallel here, right? So there's the 3 springs for 3 springs, and there's 1,000 li. So 3 springs, for 3 springs, the white snow returns to the green tomb. And then for the 1,000 li, yellow river. So see, there's color, yellow and white, river and snow, and it encircles. So this is a verb, and it is parallel to this return, and the black mountain, which parallels the green mound. And I think it is smart to employ parallelism here because it is trying to emphasize the repetitiveness, right? So here, not even is there literal character repetition, like on a character level, there is repetition on a structural level, on a line by line level. So I think that is really a creative device here. Really, really well done. Because I think most people do not stick to such uh they don't use parallels to such a extreme. I think this is probably an outlier in my opinion, is really like slapping you in the face with it almost. So yeah, well, it wasn't that obvious. I didn't realize it at first, but yeah, it is pretty heavy-handed with the repetition here. And yeah, maybe that is the point. Like it's just so repetitive and it's just a pain. It's just a pain. But yeah, let's see. Actually, any thoughts from the viewers if they are here live? I can't really. Oh, cool. Hey, how everyone's saying hi. Hello. Yeah, I feel I'm going very fast today. It's like when I'm solo, I just have a tendency to be just go straight to my interpretation. I feel like when Jaclyn is here, we tend to dwell more and like try to see, or at least I like to see what I'm missing in a poem. But yeah. I thought this was pretty cool. It's kind of a I think it's kind of relatable to soldiers everywhere. When I was, because in Singapore we all have to go to the army, right, for 2 years. I think the routine can be kind of a pain. So maybe I wouldn't. I think ours was a bit more varied than this. So yeah, interesting. Okay, let's see. Okay, so all these things that are being described, they're all in Inner Mongolia, or what is now in Inner Mongolia. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, I mean it's the classic border defense. So okay, really few comments for these poems. So it says it's just like, oh, very good. Very direct and good vibes, I guess. Good vibes, yeah. Excellent. Okay. Yeah. This points out that they are all parallels. The structure of the lines are all parallels. So that's cool. And the first two lines are about the feeling, and the next two lines are about the scenery. Oh, interesting, right? Oh yeah. These are the colors that were in the last two lines, right? Is it? I don't see how the first two lines are about the feelings. I mean, even that is very indirect, right? The first two lines, it is just talking about the things. But if this is true, this would be very interesting because actually Jaclyn pointed out to me last week after the stream. She said like usually the structure of poems is like the first two lines are sort of like the establishing, or you can think of, or Jaclyn was citing this other scholar, but you can think of a Chinese poem, right? It's sort of like an encounter. So it's like the poet encounters a certain scenario, and that creates a specific reaction within the poet. And then the poet, and this is reflected in the poem itself. So usually it's like the first two lines is, so the scene, it has a scene that sets up the emotion. So it sets, so the first two lines would be the catalyst, the trigger, the setting. And then the next two lines would just be like more about how they feel, right? So in this case, it would sort of be the reverse, because here, or this guy thinks that the first two lines are about the reaction first, and then the last two lines are about the scenery. So it would be interesting if there is this sort of reversal. Like I don't really see it, honestly, but if there is, I wonder why reverse it. I think if you go so far as to reverse it, that is saying something that's very like I don't know. It just feels like if you're gonna reverse the typical structure, it seems like you're saying that this life, like the life of a soldier, is almost like the inverse of a normal person's life, you know? Like, cause it's just hard for me to imagine like a very big structural reversal without like just for fun, right? Like it's not just if it's not meant to be saying anything, if it doesn't relate to the themes. So but I don't think it's actually going so far. So I guess I'm just saying I disagree with the guy. Yeah, okay. Uh all right, let's see. We can move on to the next one then. This is 顾况, a palace poem. 公词, that's very undescriptive for a title. All right. 日楼天半起笙歌，风送宫宾笑语和。月殿影开，闻叶漏，水晶帘卷尽秋河。High above, from a jade chamber, songs float halfway to heaven. The palace girls' gay voices are mingled with the wind, but now they are still, and you hear a water clock drip in the court of the moon. They have opened the curtain wide. They are facing the river of stars. So I guess one thing that strikes me is that, yeah, this English translation is kind of longer, which I like because, yeah, I thought it was very weird that a lot of the English translations are in English, they put the same length as long as the ones for the 5-character quatrains. But if you think about it, like the 7-character quatrains has 2 characters more per line, right? It's like a 40% increase in terms of words. So I was very surprised that they kept the translation so short. Whereas here, I think, I don't know, maybe the translator is just being like very wordy, but we'll see. Okay, so from a jade chamber, okay. Songs float halfway to heaven, okay. And the wind, okay. It sends the palace girls laughing voices. Oh no, the wind mingles, yeah, with it. That's right. And then the court of the moon, the water. Oh, that's nice. The water clock is here. And then the curtain. And yeah, it's a pretty faithful translation actually. And seems like this is another poem where there's a lot of concrete nouns. Yeah, I guess also proper names, right? Like we have the court of the moon, and then we have the river of stars. Actually, not sure where the river of stars is, but I see a river here. This just says like spring river. Yeah, I mean, sorry, autumn river. And clearly, even though we've read another poem about like palace girls today, like this one is much happier, right? It's not like, oh, I'm crying alone in my room. This is like they're chilling, they're having fun. I was playing the flute, is it? Some instrument. Interesting. I'm not sure what to say, except it just seems like a very fun poem. So, so the songs float halfway to heaven. And I mean, that's not like, I think that's meant to convey like they feel like they're in heaven, right? Like that's sort of the idea. This is a dumb comment, but it's like, yeah, I mean, if it can float halfway to heaven, it can float halfway to hell, right? Like if it's that loud. So the point, if they've emphasized that, then yeah, clearly it's meant to indicate like yeah, that they're having a good time. And then, so the wind, the voices are mingled with the wind. I'm very interested in this natural imagery here. It's like, so are they saying like this is part of the natural order? Is that what it's trying to imply? Huh. I don't know. Like, why mingle with the wind? Why say that? So then the water clock drips in the court of the moon. And the curtain is opened, right? And it's facing the river of stars. I don't know. I don't really see much to analyze here. I feel like I'm either missing something or it's just a very nice scene. Oh, someone says nice poem. Yeah, I agree. It is. Yeah, it is very nice, right? I don't get it, man. What is there to? It just seems like a nice poem, or oh, and there are literally no comments, no famous critics comments. Huh? No way. What? No way. What? This guy is saying it's a sad poem. No way. He says like, oh, the first two lines. So the laughing person is not the poet. So he hears or I guess, or he or she, or they hear these like palace girls enjoying themselves, right? And then so that's the first two lines. And then the last two lines is like, bruh, but I'm so sad. I don't know. I don't see it as a sad poem, is it? I mean, it seems like looking at the river at the end is kind of uh kind of nice, right? Yeah. What? I don't see it at all, dude. I don't see the sadness at all in this. Do you guys think it's a sad poem? Okay, I guess they have opened the curtain wide. They are facing the river of stars. I mean, well, I mean, but that's ambiguous, right? In the Chinese, it could be I am opening the curtain wide because there's no subject. There's no subject in this. I don't know. I disagree. I disagree. I feel like they're just reading too much like sad court poems and they're projecting. I really don't think this is a sad poem. Okay. Jeez. Look at this classic interpretation. Oh, this also reflects the corruption of the ruling class uh in the Tang dynasty. It's like, geez, everything has to have a political interpretation. Like, chill out, man. Okay. So this, yeah, I'm just gonna move on to this next one. By Li Yi. So it's on hearing a flute at night from the wall of Shouxiang. So 夜上受降城闻笛. I think this is 月. 回月风前沙似雪，受降城外月如霜，不知何处吹羽管，一夜征人尽望乡。The sand below the border mountain lies like snow, and the moon like frost beyond the city wall. And someone somewhere, playing a flute, has made the soldiers homesick all day long. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so you can see the structure of the encounter and reaction here, right? So the encounter or the trigger is really hearing the flute, and then there's the reaction. But I think this is, yeah, so maybe the scholar Jaclyn cited was like the structure of like first two lines trigger, second two lines reaction. I'm not sure if that's exactly right here because the flute doesn't come in until the third part, right? So it says the hui. No, 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 no. But there is the hui re here, right? It seems like it's kind of almost like the echoing music. Actually, let me just check the gloss on this. Hui re. Oh, no, no, no. This is a place. Okay. So hui re feng is just a mountain. But you know, it's a very apt name. It is a very apt name. So the Hui Yue Feng, so it is just a mountain in the border, I guess. And before it, the sand lies like snow. The sand is like snow. Okay. I mean, we already know the theme is homesickness, right? So it seems like when you compare the sand to snow, it's almost like, it's like, gosh, I wish I was in a place where there's snow. You know what I mean? It's like in those cartoons where it's like they're like, oh, starving in the desert, and you're like, oh, the cactus looks like a hot dog. It's like you see a hot dog because you want to eat it. So that is, you see snow because you don't want to be in the desert. So that's sort of my take here. And then 受降, right? 受降城外. So the beyond the city wall of 受降, then the moon is like frost. The moon is like frost. I mean, again, it's sort of the wishful thinking here, but I guess there is also the dimension of coldness, right? So maybe it's not wishful thinking. It could also be like, wow, I'm so lonely. I feel so cold. So they feel the cold. That's why the sand looks like snow, you know? Like the sand makes you feel cold. Not because it's actually cold, but because you're lonely. That's interesting. Okay. But yeah, I think there is this very strong comparison here, right? Like moon and sand, they're both like frost and snow. Interesting. And I guess it's also worth pointing out that these are parallel lines since we started talking about it just now. So these two are both names of the city, the places. There's mountain, city, in front, outside, sand, moon, like snow, frost. So parallel structure between these two lines. Yeah. Oh shoot. The next one, we don't know, or there's a flute blowing from who knows where, and one night, maybe the whole night, the entire night, the troopers, the soldiers, they all think of home. Yeah, they're all homesick. I think it's a very powerful image because all right, so for everyone to hear this one guy playing the flute, like clearly it must be like a very empty place, right? Like if it's in the city, like you play the flute, like maybe your neighbors will hate you, but not like the whole neighborhood will hear it. So it has to be a very like empty space for that to have the effect that's being described. So I think that is very very cool. It sort of it does conjure the state of the camp, I guess. But it is also kind of obvious because it's in the desert, you know, not much stuff is going on there. But yeah, I think it is very powerful though. It's like, you know, just as one person playing the flute and you know, everyone hears it and everyone sort of has the same thought. Yeah. Hmm. And sort of interesting that yeah, the you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know who's playing it. I think it could almost reflect a feeling of like the soldiers themselves don't. They're like, where am I? What am I doing? You know, or they don't know where. Yeah, yeah. It's just they feel adrift almost, right, in this desert. I think maybe like this feeling like, oh, who knows where I am? That could also play into the idea of like, oh, the sand is like snow. So they don't even know if they're in a like a desert or like a snowy mountain, you know? So so yeah, I really like this. I think just very poetic, the situation. Yeah, very poetic. Mm. Let's see if you have any comments here. Oh, okay. None. So let's look at the I hope okay, okay. People like this. People like this. Right, right. This is a good poem, right? Not just me. Oh, it says this is like really famous, apparently. Okay. Hmm. Oh, this person says in terms of genre, in this genre, Li Yi is the best. Okay. So this author is supposed to be very good. Hmm. Hmm. This says the very first line is very majestic but tragic as well. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Okay, these guys are not saying they're not having any analysis, but they're all saying it's really good, which I agree, it is very good. So yeah. Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I think we sort of hit most of the points they're saying here. I do wonder if the flute is a Chinese instrument, right? Hmm. Like that's probably why. And maybe they're playing like a Chinese tune. That's why it reminds them of home. Because this is really the outskirts of the yeah. But they are very far from home. They're sort of in the border, right? So yeah. Hmm. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna go on to the next one then. Oh shit, we're moving way too fast. I don't know if I should just do like 15 today. Like because we only have four more to go. I won't waste your time if we finish 10, then let's just finish 10. Okay? So Liu Yuxi is Wu Yixiang, Blacktail Roll. 朱雀桥边野草花，乌衣巷口夕阳斜。旧时王谢堂前燕，飞入寻常百姓家。 Grass has run wild now by the bridge of red birds, and swallows' wings at sunset in Blacktail Row, where once they visited great homes, dip among doorways of the poor. Wait, what? Okay, so it's about this very specific alley, I guess, this Blacktail Row. So this, okay, this has to be after the rebellion, right? It's like classic, like we read the poem last week where it's like, what was it? It was like, oh, I used to meet you at these famous guy's house, and now we're meeting at some random place. Like, it seems like the same sort of structure where it's talking about really the decline after the Anlushan rebellion. Let me just see if that's right. Right? It has to be. Ooh. 8:26. Okay, that's pretty late, I would think. Yeah. Okay. But regardless, it's one of like it's kind of like reminiscing, right? It's like, oh, the good old days. Mm. Hmm. And okay, so the grass has run wild now by the bridge of red birds. Okay, I'm gonna imagine like it used to be very neat because they had good public services because the state was functioning well. Like this was a golden age, right? Like they had like workers to cut the grass, and now it's just like grass all over the place. And yeah, actually this is a pretty common image, I think. A lot of like poems about ruin or decline, they always talk about like the grasses like running wild, overgrowing. So definitely sort of hitting the same notes. Yeah. And I guess yeah, the reason for that is because the lack of proper maintenance, no public service stuff, I guess. Public works. I don't know what's the term lah. Yeah. Okay, and then 乌衣巷口夕阳斜. So swallow's wings at sunset in Blacktail Row. What? No. The swallow it comes in the third line. So they move things slightly around here. So in Blacktail Row, the mouth of Blacktail Row, the opening, right? The entry, the entrance. I mean, they're both entrance. The end of each of the sorry, the end of the street lah, basically, right? Like the two ends of the street. Yeah, and then the sun is really setting into it. Okay, kind of okay, so yeah, classic sunset. Like, oh, sunset is like, oh, things are getting worse. Classic image. Then in the old times, yeah, they used to visit, these swallows used to visit like great people's homes, and now they just fly into the homes of normal people. Okay, I'm gonna come out and say that I don't like this poem. I think it's kind of lame. Like I don't see anything very original here. Maybe I'm missing something. So let's look at the comments. Oh wow, people really like this. Okay, then let's try to dig a bit deeper on why this is good, okay? Okay. So it says that it uses this idea where yeah, where it's very common where swallows, they live in the or they go back to the same house because they roost, right? Or they have the nest in the same house, but the owners have changed. And it's the theme is that wealth is hard to keep forever. And what were once really like rich nobles, now they're just I don't think they became commoners, but like their places have been taken by commoners. Okay. Ah, okay. So people like the imagery of the wild grass and the setting sun. Really, I don't know. It seems kind of overused, right? Or maybe this guy was so good that everyone copied him, and that's why it became overused. I don't know. Huh. It's like that saying, right, where they're like, oh, Shakespeare's so lame. He just has all the cliches. And it's like, well, no, he came up with all the cliches. Like everyone was copying him. That's why he doesn't seem original. But so maybe this guy is great. I don't know. But he's pretty late though, 826. Pretty late in the Tang Dynasty. So I don't see how he could be the one who comes up with all the tropes, I guess. All the major symbols. Hmm. Is this a good poem? I can't tell. Hmm. Hmm. All these people are very moved by it, apparently. Hmm. I don't know. Maybe it's because here's a hot take. Maybe it's because they actually look down on being a commoner. Whereas for me, I feel like it's perfectly fine to be a normal person, right? So this idea for me of like, I mean, it's coming from our time where they're like, oh, the billionaire, what was once the billionaire's estate is now public housing. If you say that, it seems like a good thing, right? But I guess for their context, they're like, if you take into the account the sort of ingrained elitism of well, I won't say elitism is inherent in East Asian culture, but there is certainly a long tradition of elitism, right? So maybe for them they would be more, yeah, like if you say like, oh yeah, the noble's house is now being lived in by commoners, it would not be cool at all. So yeah, I guess that is a very interesting uh difference here. Right. Yeah, this is like he's like, yeah, the swallows of today are just like swallows of the past. So why do they not reside in the halls of the nobility, but into that of the common people? Mm, the feeling of sadness is inherent outside the words, is naturally outside the words. Or maybe I just have a very different picture of like commoners. I imagine back then being a commoner, like pretty rough, pretty rough. Yeah. So it is a pretty. I can see why you would think it's how someone might think it's a big drop in standards. Hmm. Big decline. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Oh yeah, someone calls it a slum. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess that helps if we see it as like a slum, right? Yeah. And maybe he was being kind of nice to call them just like it's like 寻常 is just normal. It just means like normal, common. And but I guess literally you could even say like 寻常, because I'm not sure if this is a if the two character compound came later. But if you break it down, it literally means like seeking constancy, right? Seeking constancy. So maybe you could even read it as like. So at first I read this 寻常百姓 as just a common folk. I mean here they translate it as poor, but maybe you could even read it as like, the people who seek some sort of stability. In which case it might imply that, either the times are very rough, like there's a lot of instability, or you can say that, these are the people who are so poor that they can't even guarantee like 3 meals a day, right? So that's why they're seeking some sort of constancy or routine in their lives. And I think in that case, I can see where the sentiment is coming from. Yeah. So okay, it's pretty good. Yeah, I say it's pretty good. I mean, everyone loves it, and this this guy who knows nothing about Chinese poetry is just throwing shade at these famous iconic poems. Yeah. Okay, so all right, another one by Liu Yuxi, 春词, a spring song. 新妆一面下朱楼，深锁春光一任愁。行到中庭树花朵，蜻蜓飞上日搔头。In gala robes, she comes down from her chamber into her courtyard, enclosure of spring. When she tries from the center to count the flowers, on her hairpin of jade, a dragonfly poises. I don't know, I'm just very struck by the character Cho here, because this is the one where it's like it is in all the sad poems, right? Like even though one or two we saw today has like Cho in the title, but here it seems like kind of happy, right? So it says like so newly made up, so she just put on makeup and like just yeah, looking good, and then she comes down the okay, I guess from her chamber, and the 深锁 春光. I don't really get this. Okay, but enclosure of spring, I guess, into the courtyard. But she's supposed to be kind of worried, right? Okay, and then she goes to the center of the courtyard, and then this is a verb 数花朵. So she counts the flowers, and the dragonfly flies up onto the jade hairpin. It seems nice. I bet some guy's gonna give a very sad interpretation, but it seems pretty fun, like a cute scene. Yeah. Is she getting like married or something? That can't be right. No. Let's say gala robes. All right, let's just see. Let's see if there's any context I'm missing. Oh, this is supposed to be in the court. Okay. Oh, okay. This is an interesting interpretation. It says that so a palace girl, she has put on her makeup, but no one to see it, to admire it. So that's why she's just chilling and like counting the flowers to pass the time. And then it causes the dragonfly to fly on top of her head. So it is a palace poem, they think, but it's very much it's a very different vibe, right? It's not like loneliness. It's just a chill day. Yeah. It seems really nice. Huh. Oh, this is supposed to be part of a set with this other poem. Ah, okay, okay. This is a 和诗. This is a collaborative poem. So Bai Zhiyi, this other famous poet also has another one. I think it should be right after, is it? 后宫诗, no. Weird. Why is it not here? It's really not this one? Okay, you know what? Let's just read Bai Zhiyi's accompanying poem. Because yeah. So what so this is a collaborative poem, right? So this guy, what's his name? Liu Yuxi, he has this poem, and then his friend, right, Bai Zhi also wrote another one. Okay, so 低花树养小庄楼，春入眉心2点愁，斜移栏杆背鹦鹉，思量何事不回头。So it's about this how do you say this? Low flower, and the tree reflects or cast light on, maybe? Or we cast a shadow on the small wow, building. Yeah, building, small chamber. And the spring enters the center of the brow, and there's 2 dots of sorrow. I think the makeup is just dots. I'm not sure. Slanted, leaning on the railing, and back facing the parrot. Yeah, parrot of all things. And then considering what is it, what is she mulling over that she's not turning her head? Okay, okay. So it's just, she's chilling. There's a parrot. She's in thought. How does this? So here, so in comparison, so this is like, okay, so there's both about her being made up in the first line, right? Then second one is like kind of in thought, I guess, kind of troubled by something. And then the third one, but the action is kind of different here. So there's a random parrot, which can't be in the courtyard because it will just fly away, right? So the parrot must be in some sort of chamber. But here she's in the middle of the courtyard counting the flowers. And then the last part. So here for this one is just the dragonfly on the hairpin. And for Bai Zhiyi's one is very different. It's a question, like is a question like, yeah, what is she thinking of? I think they're all pretty good. They're all pretty good. I kind of like Bai Zhiyi's one more. Actually, no, they're both pretty good. They're both pretty good. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, actually, you know what? The image of the dragonfly in the Hairpin, that's really nice. So I think that's a, no wonder it's famous. Yeah, I like this. And let's see the, whatchamacall, the famous critics, and they just said, the last line is really good. The dragonfly is really cool. Okay. And this one is like, yes, the classic sad interpretation is like, this is a poem about okay, to be fair, it is justified here. This is a poem about some sort of worry or sorrow, but it is writing about the idle happenings, I guess, of the in the courtyard, whereas the trouble is bottled up within. And yeah, which I think is fair. It's really fair because the poem itself does have this character about the worry. Yeah, yeah. You know what? Yeah, I think he is right. I think he is right. Yeah. The sad interpretation is justified. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Uh, okay. Shall we just go on to the next one? Yeah, so Bai Zhi. Yeah, so this is the other guy he was writing with, right? So Bai Zhi, A Song of the Palace, 后宫诗. Jeez, okay, this is like really, it's just sad. Okay, 泪湿罗巾梦不成，夜深前殿暗歌声。红颜未老恩先断，斜移熏笼坐到明。Her tears are spent, but no dreams come. She can hear the others singing through the night. She has lost his love, along with her beauty. She leans till dawn on her incense pillow. Now, the third line is a bit off, but let's look at the. I'm gonna try and read through. So the tears have soaked the. What is this 罗巾啊? I guess her pillow, is it? Just her tears have soaked the something, but her dreams do not come. No dreams come. Ah, okay. She can't hear the others singing through the night. Okay, that's fair. But the third line is a bit off because it actually says like her beauty has not been lost, but the favor is first severed. So sort of the emperor lost interest in her before she has lost her beauty. Yeah. So that's really like, yeah. I think that's, I don't know, that's sad. Yeah. So it's not along with her beauty. She has lost his love before she lost her beauty. That would be a better translation. And then okay, she leans till dawn on her incense pillow. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's really sad though. It's like you can hear the emperor like partying with other girls, but like, yeah, that's really sad though. Wow. And then you're just like crying, right? Oh God. Oh, that's really sad. Yeah. I think the third line is very powerful to me because okay, it's not really that even when I say like it's losing her beauty, but it's not that it's not about losing her beauty, right? It's just like her 红颜. Okay, 红颜 is beauty, but it's like her beauty has not aged. But even before it has aged, the favor has been severed. It has stopped, right? But it's like, come on, like, I mean, people are still in love until they're old. So so even when if she is old, it is possible that they're still in love, but she's not even old, and like he just randomly stopped being into her. That's like, bruh, that's terrible, man. Like, hate that. Yeah, this whole harem thing is pretty messed up, right? Oh, okay. Just feel bad for this girl. Um, I think language wise is very well written. I like this. I like this Shin Long. What's this Shin? Okay. I think it's translating Shin here as some sort of plant, but I think it's just maybe it is a plant, the best. So it is like a fragrant pillow, yeah. But I think I just like these two words, these two characters. They sound very nice. Yeah. Or it's just, sometimes a poem it can be made with like a very well chosen word. So yeah. I just read this as a sad poem. Yeah. Let's see what if there are any famous critics here. Um hmm. I didn't disagree. This guy's like, yeah, if you stop looking good, then it's normal for you to lose the favor. Like that's such a shallow way to put it, but okay, I'll accept that. But it's like, yeah, but she's not even old, and like the favor has been lost. So yeah, it's even worse though, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, I just feels really sad though. Yeah. Interesting observation that generally these palace poems, they use objects in order to convey their sorrow. I think that's true of most of the poems we read actually. Like, oh, is this this poem is unique in directly saying what's going on to and the four lines they all just make are very clear lah. They just saying it directly. Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's right. See, I don't dislike direct poems. I just dislike uncreative poems. Right? I really like this. I really like this. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Let's see any other comments. Yeah, I guess that's about it. So maybe just the last one for the day. Here. Zhang Hu. Poem by Zhang Hu, 赠内人 of One in the Forbidden City. Okay. 径门宫树月横过，眉眼微看宿路潮。sorry，宿路柯斜拔日钗灯影畔。 踢开红眼眼救飞蛾. Wow, this one is very hard. A lot of things I didn't know how to read. Okay, let's see. So when the moonlight, reaching a tree by the gate, shows her a quiet bird on its nest, she removes her jade hairpins and sits in the shadow and puts out a flame where a moth was flying. The moonlight reaches a tree by the gate. It shows her a quiet bird on the nest. She removes her jade hairpins and sits in the shadows and puts out a flame where a moth was flying. Okay, this seems sad, right? Is it sad? I think I've been conditioned now by all these poems to think that every palace woman is sad. Huh. Okay, maybe the last line has a clue here. So in the Mandarin, it says that she does put out the flame, but it's in order to save, right? To save the moth. So it's not just I mean, I guess it is kind of obvious, like if the moth was flying into the flame, it would die. But at least here in the Chinese, it's kind of explicitly saying that it's trying to save or to help the moth. And it almost makes me think like maybe she feels very helpless. She feels like she wishes someone could assist her. Like I feel like that gives me an angle into this poem. It's about yeah, just feeling helpless and like wishing someone could help her the same way she helps this moth. So she removes her jade hairpins as well. So I guess she's letting her hair down, like literally. So this is meant to be a more intimate moment. And I guess so maybe this sense of like wishing to be helped, wishing to be saved is just something that she's been trying to cover up. And that's what she expresses through her actions. I don't know. I do like the poem. Like, I'm not sure if I'm overreading it, but it does seem kind of significant. This character of the saving. Yeah. I don't know. I always can't tell if I'm overreading things or I'm just like, or if it's a justified reading, like where is the line there? But let's see what it says in the comments and famous critics. And this is the last poem of the day, by the way. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Okay, so this is specifically describing those who are like musical or dance performers. So and once they're in the palace, they're separated from the outside world forever. And the title is actually even though in English it says it's about one in the Forbidden City, this is actually about it says that it's to give to one of these performers lah, these 内人. And so the poet is saying, yeah, actually he could never like give this to them. I think because they're so isolated inside. But yeah, it's just sort of a poetic conceit. It's just a way to just a poetic device, yeah. Okay. Oh, there are no famous critics at all for this. Okay. I guess I'm the critic then. So yes, she does want someone to save her. That is definitely the right interpretation. Huh. I think I don't know. I think my own appreciation of the poems is a bit skewed because I also like rare words. And I think it's like, oh, the nest of the heron, that's so cool, you know. But yeah, like because sometimes the characters just look cool, right? Like you just look at it, you're like, oh, this looks so cool. But I don't know, poetically, is it good or not? If I'm right that this idea of saving is what she's thinking of, then I think it is very well written. Yeah. But if that's not it, then maybe then I really don't see a way to understand this. Well, I guess there's no real like objective quality of a poem, but I like it. That's enough for me. Yeah. And that's really it for today. We did go through another 10 poems. Oh, and yeah. Oh, and one of you are saying, yeah, you can never overread Chinese poetry. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You really can't. Or part of the point is to also the artistic ideal is to like be evocative, right? It's like it that is open to many interpretations and for you to keep thinking about it. So I guess in some sense, overthinking is the point. And that's why they say very few things like directly, because the point is to make you overthink, I guess. So yeah, maybe well, I like the direction that my overthinking has went today. So yeah. Uh yeah, I like this poem. I think this was really cool. I'd like to read it again. Uh and see if I do like it as much next time. And yeah, so that's really it for today. Went through another 10 poems and we're almost, I wouldn't say halfway through. Still have another, yeah, like 40% through this genre. And yeah, even though it's called 300 Tang poems, there's actually like 320. So we're just gonna keep going. And yeah, I think this is the 6th week. So we have another 26 weeks to keep going. So yeah. Uh that's about it. And thanks for the people who tuned in today. Yeah, and can't wait to see you all next week. All right, then bye bye.